Welcome to the 2.19 Revel Systems product release for retail.
We will be focusing on some high-level features that will be added to your management console. These are new features or enhancements that will improve your Revel experience. For a complete list of feature enhancements, please refer to the product release notes page when they become available. Once again, that's going to be in support.revelsystems.com, and you'll see a release notes section. You will see all of the training videos as well as the webinars that we record in the little training videos button that you see there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So for today's agenda, we have a lot of things to cover. So we're going to go over some back office enhancements, things you'll see on the iPad, new reporting features, inventory related things, product settings, and ordering, meaning the ordering flow that you see on the iPad. So getting started with back office enhancements. One of the first things you'll see is with employees, you are now able to import your employees via Excel. This will be located in employees under export import. And to give you an idea of what this looks like, this is just a little screenshot here of the actual import file with some example values there. When you do go into the employee section to import or export this information, the section will provide a detailed walkthrough on how to structure the spreadsheet for import, and it'll list all the columns that need to be present. The action log has been enhanced so that now you can identify when a change to an employee was made, as well as identify when a change to a product was made. To show you what that looks like, this first image I'm going to show you shows you where a change to an employee was made. You see exactly which employee performed this action and which employee the change was made to. You'll see the value before and the value after, the end result of the change. The next image you see here is the action of a product change. So once again, the employee is listed there for who performed the change and the product that was changed. If a product upload occurs, the action will state that the change to products was made. But because it's a large amount of data, you're not going to see every single product that was affected, just the fact that the upload occurred. All right, now going into reporting, our operations report. This is great. The operations report can now be emailed on a daily basis. So in settings, under email address, you can input your email address and indicate the format you want emailed to you, so you have all of the visibility of that report on a daily basis. There's also been enhancements to the filtering, so filtering by POS station, revenue center, or even by department or employee. And the export formats would be PDF, CSV, or Excel. So if you actually go into the operations report, you'll see the options there now to export, as we've highlighted there in the upper right-hand corner. And then if you set up the email settings to receive it via email, in the bottom screenshot there, you see the field for the email address, and then you choose what kind of report format you want it in. So really exciting that we can actually give that data to you now. The cash office report. Now, to give you some context here, there was some renaming for consistency across the POS, the iPad POS and the management console. On the management console, safe deposit, or the term safe deposit, has been renamed to safe drop. And on the iPad POS, bank drop has been renamed to safe drop. So you'll see there also on the actual cash office report, we've indicated a total variance amount, which is determined by the safe drop bank deposit expected amount subtracted by the confirmed amount. So we have that visibility for you there, and as well as just the consistency to minimize confusion. All right, now going into inventory, the first thing I want to highlight here is purchase orders. So a lot of great enhancements here with purchase orders. First of all, you can now email the purchase orders to your vendors. So when this is done, the subject actually will read attached, please find a detailed purchase order from, and then your business name. And this cannot be edited at this time. However, you'll see in the screenshot I have here, the additional button when emailing of purchase orders is enabled, you'll see the send icon in the actions column on the right-hand side of the screen. That's the @ symbol. And when you send this purchase order, you'll see the new PO status as sent. So you'll notice the POS status there. So that's a new status that was added in for this particular feature here. All right. Now so the vendor email. This can be added in when you hit the send icon, or when you go into your vendor details and input an email address there. That way you can either send it on the fly or with the email address you have on file. Now, marking as sent is also a new button that you'll see when you're actually in the edit purchase order mode. This is another way that you can change the status to sent on that PO status screen. All right. So an important thing to note here is that an item cannot be deleted after being marked as sent, only closed. So notice here in this screenshot, we have an open PO. It hasn't been marked as sent or anything. It's just being billed. And the item there, the tomatoes, can still be deleted off the purchase order if we needed to. So this hasn't been sent yet, obviously. Mm-hmm.
We do have one question.
Sure.
And the question is, for vendors, for purchase orders, is it still limited to one email, or can you now add multiple email addresses to a vendor?
I did not know that anybody had wanted to add multiple email addresses to a vendor. So no, we only have a single email. I also want to add that the ability to delete an item off of a purchase order at all is something that we added into the recent release. So prior to sending the purchase order, letting your vendor know that you want to purchase this stuff, you can delete an item in case you added it to the purchase order by mistake, or you just know ahead of time that you're never going to be able to order this item.
Great, thank you. And then one last way to mark it as sent is if you receive the inventory from the PO, that will also mark it as sent. So really great enhancement there with being able to delete features and actually email the purchase orders now. Now, another big release that we're really excited about here is we now support first in, first out and last in, first out inventory costing. So in terms of if you do need this for your business and you want to configure this change, please contact Revel support directly. That way we can configure that inventory costing method for you. Up until now, we have been using average cost, which is just basing the cost flow on weighted average of goods. But for this, the important thing to know here for FIFO and LIFO, if you do go into these inventory costing methods, the modification of the setting will not affect historical transactions. It'll just be moving forward. So to change these items and to actually use this form of inventory costing, I wanted to show you these images here. So from the products, ingredients, the products or ingredients inventory pages, clicking on current inventory will take you to inventory lot, which is what you see here. Now this will provide info on received lots of inventory, specifically when a lot of inventory was received and how much of the total quantity is left. So with the pop-ups you see at the top of the screen, you'll be able to update the cost or date for the specific ingredients or products remaining in a lot. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to note here in the notes column of inventory lot, if an item was received from PO, it will be listed in the note column. And there's a new feature where if you receive from there, there's actually a clickable hyperlink that will take you directly to that PO from the inventory screen there.
So we have an interesting question. So someone's asking that they have an approval process prior to sending to the vendor the PO. So could they send it, say, to the president or CEO for approval first and then send to the vendor?
Yes, actually. While the email pops up with the vendor address in the email window, there's no reason you can't remove it and put in the CEO's address.
And then when you bring it up next time, it would have the vendor's address in there, and you can forward it on.
You just have to pay attention to what you're doing. But we don't require that you send it to the email that's on the vendor. We just fill it in as a convenience.
But if that was sent to the CEO, for example, would that mark it as sent? I couldn't delete anything.
Yes, it would do that.
So sending it for approval might be an offline process first, and then once it's approved, then you can send it from Revel. That way you can still delete items if necessary, and then make sure the status is in the correct status.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving into product settings. We have a new feature here where an item can be marked as returnable in the product's details page. So you actually have to go into an individual product here, into advanced product details. And one thing to note here is items not marked as returnable will cause a "this item cannot be returned" error message on the POS. And this will affect returns, exchanges, and receiptless returns, which I will cover in just a couple more slides here. We now have tax thresholds. So this is a really good thing for our clients in locales that require a specific tax threshold. So a couple of examples just to give this some context here. In certain locales, there's no tax on certain items up to a set dollar amount, then tax on the amount above that rate. Or for another locale, for example, a charge against an entire product price if that price exceeds that threshold, kind of like a luxury tax. So if we think about the setup here, this will be done in the tax sections here. The first thing I wanted to pinpoint right now, I'm looking at the min quantity threshold there at the bottom of the image. So with the min max quantity thresholds, this is obviously the number of items, the quantity. So for example, with the min quantity, the tax will be applied when an order contains a number of items equal to or greater than the amount you put here. So the example we're given is if you buy 6 or more baked goods, the tax rate on those baked goods will be 2% in this case. If we look at the amount, so now I'm highlighting min threshold and max threshold amount, the tax will only be applied to items costing more than or equal to this amount. In the case of your screen, you'll see $75. So anything equal to or above $75 will be taxed in this case. To assist with these new thresholds, there's also the addition of the advanced POS setting. It's quite a long name. It's taxes on products exceeding threshold amounts shall be charged on the entire product price. It's a mouthful, but when this option is enabled, if a tax rate has a minimum threshold amount and the product price exceeds that threshold, the tax shall apply to the entire product price. Conversely, if this is disabled, the tax rate shall only apply to the part of the product price which exceeds the threshold. So just the amount that exceeds that dollar amount that you've indicated in the settings. So just depending on where you are with the specific tax law, and you need the min or max threshold either for quantity or amount, we can now accommodate that with our tax threshold feature. All right, now going into the ordering flow here. The first thing that we're going to start out with is store credit. So what's new about this is it now functions independently from gift cards. And what you'll see when this is enabled is a store credit button that appears on the POS as a payment button. And this is configured in your management console depending on your access. Now the button area would be below the order ticket in the row of action option buttons. And it has its own report. It will display remaining balance on all store credit allocated to customers. And one thing to note is that the balance is not editable, but you can associate it with a customer. An additional behavior here is with gift card or store credit refunds, this can now lead to a new card being issued when you're on the POS. So when I pull up the images here, this is what the POS will look like. So at the bottom of the order ticket, you have the Add Store Credit button. And then on the right screen, there is the store credit being added to the order ticket. Now, store credit can be created a couple different ways. As you can see here, achieving an order with a negative balance. And of course, tapping the Add Store Credit button when you're on the POS screen. As you see on the right, the POS will add the store credit product to the order for the amount of the negative balance. And once again, this supports receiptless returns, voids, refunds that lead to a negative balance, and exchanges. This gives you an idea of what it would look like on a physical receipt. in terms of reporting, I mentioned it has its own report, but also on payment summary and operations reports, we'll display the store credit as a liability. So if you need to refer back to this in reporting, you'll see this in, once again, payment summary and operations under store credit liability. All right, another good thing for our retail clients here are receiptless returns. So initially, they're treated and processed in the same way as exchanges on the POS. Reporting, you might see them in a couple different places. First of all, Receiptless Returns has its own report and it's still available. Also, if you look in the exchanges, Receiptless Returns would be represented as a part of exchanges in the exchanges column. And you'll see on the report, it's marked with an asterisk, which will indicate it includes Receiptless Returns for store credit, right? Now, a scenario here, a common scenario perhaps, let's say a customer brings in a return receipt or a return with no receipt, and your staff has no knowledge of it being bought, on sale or with a coupon, and so we can't give a refund at full price. So in that scenario, we have the lowest selling price. So with this feature here, the system will give you the lowest price it was sold for within the last X amount of days, whatever you set, and then that way, without a receipt, you can give a return with the lowest selling price within that last number of days. So in this example here, the suggested lowest price is indicated within the last 90 days to check. So this is under your control on what to set for the parameter. Now on the POS, you'll see the cash and store credit options are available in the initial receiptless return window. That's in the upper left-hand corner of the screen there. Our store credit is highlighted. And after that, you can select a reason for the return. So there is an option there to enter in the reason. And once you select that and hit next, it appears on the order screen. And that's how it'll appear there on your POS. And obviously, here in the States, you will see a dollar sign rather than the euro symbol. This one is also really cool for our quick service, table service. We now enable editable modifier options on the POS. So usually, if you're looking at the modifier screen, you'll see no, side, only, and light. If you go into advanced settings and look at editable modifier options, you can actually edit side, only, and light to whatever you want in those empty fields you see there. So for example, instead of those three, we've changed it to extra. If you wanted extra of something, double, if you wanted double meat on your sandwich, and then there's a child in case, this is a child size item and you just wanted to modify it for that particular food item. Big enhanced feature here is house accounts, all right? So we have a brand new system here that we're gonna transition over to. And for those of you who are new to house accounts, it's similar to like extending a line of credit to your customers. The amount can fluctuate and payments can be made against it, and it can ultimately be used as a form of payment. What you see on your screen right now is the current house accounts report. So it's going to be changed. The name of the report is going to change from house accounts to house account summary. That's one change you'll see. And one question that might come up for those of you already using house accounts is how will my starting balance be calculated when transitioning to the new system? One thing we want to recommend here is just to clean up your house account data ahead of time by checking the is paid box. So what you see here on your screen is the it is paid box that I've highlighted. One thing that might be happening is maybe these are being paid, but you're just not marking this is paid box. If you mark it, the system won't recognize it and add it to the starting balance when the system is transitioned. So for those of you who are using house accounts currently, any unpaid house account charges will carry over and become the beginning balance. So be sure to check that box ahead of time just to clean it up and minimize what needs to be transitioned over. Another way to maybe shortcut that is if you export your customer list, you can change the balance and then re-import that and it'll update in bulk. So that's another option if you don't want to go through each account one by one. And every single house account will migrate into the new system. So I do want to give you a view into what the new report will look like. So here I have highlighted the new house account summary report, and this will provide a detailed summary of activity, including payments, charges, adjustments, and the opening and closing balances of a customer. So a lot of information now is just centralized and in a better format for you to use and have a more efficient experience here. So in the Actions tab, this is on the very right of the main image, you'll see Actions, and then you see a couple of icons there, a pencil, there's a hand holding a credit card, and then an envelope. So this Actions tab, this is where you're going to show or hide orders, payments, and adjustments. You can adjust a customer house account balance, meaning manually increase or decrease. That's the little pop-up window you see in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And there's also a payment icon, which records a customer house account payment. Keep in mind, it's just recording. You're not physically taking a payment from the back end. So, for example, if you wanted to do bookkeeping off hours from wherever you were, you can now do that by recording payments to the back end. The mail icon, this is a really cool feature now. You can now email house account statements to your customers. Now, this is done either on a by customer basis. So notice the check marks next to the customer name on the left. You can click and choose who you want to send it to. It could be a single customer or it could be multiple customers. So there's some flexibility here. What you can also do is filter for customers that have a balance in the last month, let's say. Check everyone off and then email the statements. There's no auto email feature here just yet. It's done when you click email statements, but it's a huge improvement in getting some information over to your customer. All right. Below the mail icon, you have the export icon. So this is another opportunity to export data in a CSV, PDF, or Excel format. And on this next screen here, I wanted to show you the new clean and simple layout of the house account statement. Once again, you can email this to multiple or a single customer, depending on how you want to do that. And when we get to actually paying off the house account, this is a preview into what the POS will look like. Currently, you're going to it's a bit of the same workflow. It looks a little different. So you're going to access a house account. This is on the iPad POS. You would select it from the customer menu, and then you would display all orders, and then you can tap house accounts. And then from the house account window or screen, you can run a card and pay against the house account. The payments will go against the oldest payments first, so reverse chronological order. And when you want to look at this in reporting, this will show up in your sales summary report as a house account liability. You'll also see it in operations and the customer orders report. Now, going into EMS enhancements. So for our enterprise clients, we've enhanced a lot of things for usability here for you. There have been enhancements to simply the pages that are now available in your enterprise view. So custom menus, classes, modifier recipes, service fees.
I'd like to say here that actually the layout has been enhanced for everybody. Whether you're an EMS user or you only interact at the establishment, you're going to see these new pages that are in line with the rest of the product tab. You just won't be able to push changes from the EMS that you have to be an EMS user for.
Right. So that's another great thing about this for EMS users. You can make this singular change and then push it out now from these screens. You also have now the gift transactions report, which gives you gift card activity across all of your establishments. And I want to enlarge this image for you here so you get a good view that you can now see the variance, which is highlighted on the right-hand side of the screen in red. This is where you can see the difference between gift cards sold and gift cards used on every establishment. So this really allows for a central office to see who sold more gift cards and thus need to take more money from that establishment, or who had more gift cards used to possibly send money to that establishment. Overall, this has been enhanced so that you have total management of a gift card program across the entire enterprise. So really cool enhancement there. You also have the EMS Commissions Report. So you can see employees that work at more than one establishment. You can see all of their work. And if I enlarge this image for you here, you have the commissions report. Do you have anything to add on this one in particular, Kathy?
No. This is just interesting to be able to see both your commissions obligations across an establishment, and especially if you have employees who work in more than one establishment, you'll be able to see all their activity from one space.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you everyone. See you next time.